After about a half an hour trying to figure out which button shoots, I figured out that you don't get to kill anything in this game. In fact, you have to figure out who has done the killing and help send them to prison. It's a video game that punishes people for headshots. Talk about conflicting messages.
We should take samples of soot from all around this place to see if we can find traces of an accelerant.
This is CSI Fatal Conspiracy for the PlayStation 3. In case all this pointing and clicking hasn't already given it away, Fatal Conspiracy is a classically styled point-and-click adventure based on the popular crime drama series CSI. Now, if you've never watched the show, your interest may be understandably sparse, but the thing about Fatal Conspiracy is that it was developed by Telltale Games, a studio with a real pedigree for outstanding point-and-click adventures. They've done stuff like Sam & Max, Wallace & Gromit, Strong Bad's Cold Game for Attractive People, and of course a bunch of CSI titles, Fatal Conspiracy included. So it doesn't really matter if you've never watched the show. If you're at all a fan of point-and-click adventuring, anything Telltale does should be on your radar.
You'll have to forgive me. Baking the victim in mud and then exhuming her aren't exactly the ingredients for the most efficient autopsy.
And as long as you don't expect Fatal Conspiracy to be as good as their other stuff, you shouldn't be too disappointed by its relative inferiority. Fatal Conspiracy is quintessentially Telltale, if only for the way the game is separated. Although this is a retail disc, it's essentially a collection of episodic content. Fatal Conspiracy includes 5 individual cases that are all part of an overall story arc. And although 5 episodes may not seem like much, the cases take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours each, maybe even more depending on your crime-solving acumen. So combined, there's actually a fair amount of content. Across all 5 of the episodes, the premise is basically the same. Some poor, mangled body's been found, and it's up to you to figure out what happened. You can investigate crime scenes, question suspects, analyze evidence, and use plenty of your own ingenuity to figure out who done it.
She's not in the phone book. I looked.
Oh yes, I know where she lived. Let me write it down for you.
Grisly as they often are, the stories are at least interesting. Because they were written by actual writers from the CSI television series, they really do feel like interactive episodes of CSI. The characters, the tone, it's all faithful enough to surely keep fans of the show pleased. And as you're trying to piece together evidence, it actually does feel like you're participating in a CSI story. In fact, the problem with Fatal Conspiracy isn't at all its content or writing or episodes, it's all about the controls. And unfortunately, that's where the crime scene gets contaminated. You see, you play the game from a first-person perspective. The 2 analog sticks move an on-screen cursor with which you interact with your environment, and the other stick moves the camera. The problem is that it just doesn't work very well with analog sticks. It's a lot slower and inherently more cumbersome than mouse or pointer controls. So, like most point-and-click adventures, this is a game best experienced on the PC or Wii. And don't worry, since the graphics are pretty terrible even on the PS3, it's not like you're losing too much visual punch by going with the Wii version. Telltale Games makes a mighty fine point-and-click game, but the CSI series is easily the weakest in their catalog. Of course, for die-hard fans of CSI or the point-and-click genre in general, that probably won't matter. For them, its engaging stories and satisfying crime-solving gameplay make it a pretty safe bet. Just keep in mind that it controls way better without thumbsticks. For everyone else, though, this game is just a bit too clunky, a bit too slow, and a bit too boring, making CSI Fatal Conspiracy one episode worth skipping.
You followed Portia to the spa, and when she was nice and relaxed in her mud bath, you torched the place. And then you went back to her apartment to get your things, and a few of her things too, and then you tried to disappear.